All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Truth Talks. Today, we are actually going to be going through Brayden's story. Brayden, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So Brayden and I have been working together for around 5 months, we'll say, and primarily focused on performance and some, I guess, fat loss as well, getting leaner. But before we kind of dive into kind of our journey together, maybe give me a bit of a background of kind of your upbringing, if that was active or like is your family if you come from an active family, or did you guys play a lot of sports together when you were younger? How'd that look?
Um, like I wasn't really active pre-university. I was in university. I started working out a lot. Like I played soccer, like I think 90% of people who are from Oakville do as a kid. And I did some track and field, but I was never really active. When I was a kid, my dad used to play sports with my sister and I all the time. We'd play baseball on the street, we'd play hockey, we'd play lots of things, but I wouldn't call
Okay,
my family particularly active. Like I am
okay.
definitely the most active one in the family. I could outrun all of them.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So it started kind of your fitness journey, we'll say more or less started in university then.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And when you first started, what did that look like?
It was mainly working out just for like mental health reasons, just for like to feel better during
Okay,
the days and stuff and help with concentration. Um,
nice.
yeah, that's kind of how it
Amazing.
started.
Good. And did you get those benefits when you first started training, you'd say?
Oh, for sure. I
Mhm.
did a lot of swimming when I started because I had this awkward like hour and a half break and the pool just happened to fit that perfectly.
Okay, okay. Cool. And then did you do any sort of weight training when you were in university, or was it primarily like swimming, running, that kind of thing?
It was primarily swimming, running. Like I lived in crappy student apartments, so there was no infrastructure for weight training.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And then, so that kind of carried on so I guess you really got into weight training then when we started. Would that be safe to assume?
Yeah, I did some
Mhm.
weight training like once I left university and I actually had like a job and money to afford stuff, but I never
Mhm.
really took it that seriously because I was always a cardio person.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. And apart from maybe the benefits of like mental clarity and different things like that, is there anything else that exercise gives you? You know what I mean by that?
Um, Probably like
Like,
confidence,
okay.
the endorphins. It's nice to get stressed out in a way that's not unhealthy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, cool. So there's some other benefits as well. Okay, so that kind of then when we started working together, we set more of a specific goal. Before we started working together, do you have more specific goal from like either performance or body composition perspective, or was it purely just for the kind of mental benefits?
It was mainly just the mental benefits. Like I never really tried to like lose weight or anything like that. I was just working out because I knew it made me happier and I was an easier person to be around, I guess I'll say. Um, and then yeah, I got to a point where I was like, I want more from this. I want to be more challenged.
Gotcha, gotcha. I like it for sure. And I guess so. Kind of walking through our journey, then I think yeah. I was checking our sheets. I think top to bottom, it's been around 20 pounds leaner now. But I would say we've gotten quite a bit stronger. Like so, from a performance standpoint, we managed to increase that, and obviously we've done a lot of form analysis and and different things like that along the way, which has been really good. Do you think that if I told you, Brayden, okay, here's what we're going to achieve by this point, do you think that it would have been harder or easier than it was so far?
Like if you told me that in 5 months I would have lost 20 pounds, would I have thought that easy or hard?
Yeah, and with the performance increases, like the results that we're at right now, do you think that the previous Brayden would have thought it would have been harder to get to that, or pretty much and identical?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Hard to say what previous Brayden would have thought, but I think she would have been intrigued.
Okay, gotcha.
um, I don't think she would have predicted how much work has been put into it as like I have in the past 5 months.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think she would have thought it was hard, which it did turn out to be in some ways, but not in like a bad way,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Right.
But I hope she would have embraced it.
For sure. What do you think? So, we'll use the word like a chosen challenge to describe the difficulty associated with getting into shape. Would that be a better kind of
Yeah.
vocabulary then. So what would you think were the chosen challenges of the journey for you so far?
I think adjusting the nutrition was probably one of the hardest things.
Okay.
Because like I was pretty familiar in the gym, so like that didn't really phase me at all. But it was really like relearning how to eat and eat better and stuff, and trying to balance that with like social life or seeing family and like kind of finding that line that you're still eating
Mhm.
well, but also enjoying your life.
For sure, for sure. So learning how to make things a little bit flexible, but with the structure and precision kind of nutrition tracking, right?
Yeah.
So do you find that you've learned quite a bit about like macros and everything and how to navigate social settings and different things like that?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
so.
Good, good. And I remember in when we were chatting a while ago, you had said that you actually were ended up eating more than you originally thought. So I guess was that kind of an interesting realization?
Yeah, I definitely eat more these days than I like ever ate before because I would always like I'd either skip lunch or breakfast to be honest. I
Okay.
wasn't eating both of them. Um, and like dinners were kind of just like whatever I had. But when I started like really focusing on nutrition, it became more like solid and
Mhm.
regular meals throughout the day, which helped with cravings and stuff, which has been good.
For sure. So like focusing on consistently fueling throughout the day,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's good. And yeah, because I would say we're both similar in the sense of being very routine oriented people, I would say, right? Do you think that that was one of the kind of success traits that you upheld so far that's like allowed you to get to where we are?
Yeah, I like thrive on a routine. So it's really helpful when you like set like eat this then, eat this later, and so on and so forth. It just helps kind of set my day. I know when
Okay.
I'm going to be like well fueled to work on like harder tasks or after my
Mhm.
workouts and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely it's something that people don't think about. And maybe I'm a bit more, or probably both a bit more on the extreme end of routine. But I think as long as some people have even a rough idea of how the flow of their day goes, right? So like the flow of how work and fitness and nutrition and family or social stuff falls together kind of and so it's all flowing versus running around like with your like a chicken with your head cut off, right? Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? And why I'm such a big advocate of that is, as we've talked about before, just like removing the decision fatigue with the day as well. Do you find that your day, like creating predictability with the routine, is just good in terms of like mental space as well?
Yeah. Definitely. It's just you're more concentrated. There's no like question marks as to what will be happening. Um, I really like a good routine. I find
Okay.
my time gets thrown off. I feel like I don't go to bed at the right time, or I
Mhm.
don't eat breakfast on time, or I get kind of miserable. I get hungry, hangry.
Okay. Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, it definitely makes sense. And then do you think that like that kind of routine or being locked in with like your fitness, nutrition, and sleep and stuff has affected other areas of your life, like maybe work or something like that?
I definitely think I'm more efficient. Like I can accomplish more in like a shorter amount of time.
Okay.
Um, and like I usually don't have trouble going through what I want to get done in a day.
Right.
Because I just like I view it like I view a workout, just check off the boxes, get them done, prioritize what needs to be done.
Mhm.
Also think I might just be like more helpful at home because I have more energy. I'm not so tired. So like
Fair.
I can like unload the dishwasher, do the dishes, or make dinner for everyone and still accomplish what I've wanted to do, which I don't know if I did that before, to be honest.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, the energy thing is huge. And I think well, I was talking with one of our other clients a couple weeks ago, and he was saying, I don't know how like it was a later call. And my first client, I was doing an in-person session, so it was like 7 a.m. And he's like, how do you have energy like for such a long period of time throughout the day? And I was like, man, A, I freaking love what I do and I'm obsessed with it. And B,
Yeah.
I just when my training, sleep, and nutrition are locked in, I feel like Superman all day long. And I feel like that's something we take for granted. And for you, I think you're balancing quite a few things because we'll get to kind of your new project in a second, but you've been balancing kind of a few different things in your life outside of fitness and with your fitness journey. So it's like, in order for you to be able to do that many things in one day, you have to feel like superwoman in your case, right?
Yeah.
Like, or else, like, think about it. If you didn't feel good and energized, would you be able to accomplish the same amount of things in a day?
No, like I go from 5 in the morning till 9:30 at night. That's basically my day. And I can't tell you a time where I've ever like woken up at 5, like just that's the time I wake up. I get going, I start answering emails, and then I wind down at 9:30, and
Nice.
that's like unheard of for me. Like usually I'd be up at like 9 and roll over and hit my work computer on. So
Right. And that's like something I was chatting about in the Facebook group the other day, is like that sense of purpose,
yeah.
right? And like that really strong sense of purpose that like gets you out of bed in the morning. And right now you have multiple of those. So it's like you don't feel like you need to snooze because you're so invigorated by like what you're doing, right? Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I've kind of seen Brayden go through a pretty cool, I would say, self-development journey in the past few months. And that's why I was even asking her, like, what was there like a deciding moment in your life that like made this big internal switch? And we kind of chatted about that a little bit, but like kind of taking a step back and looking at you from the outside perspective, maybe just kind of give a little bit of your perspective on how you've shifted the way you think about living and the way you think about kind of your goals and things in the last few months.
Um,
I know it's a big question. We're getting pretty philosophical here, but
yeah, we are. Wow. Um, oh, this is a tough question. How have my goals changed? I've
Mhm.
always been wildly ambitious.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to accomplish a lot.
Okay.
Um, but recently, I think since I started on more like getting the nutrition, the training, the sleep down, I've been
Mhm.
more confident,
Okay.
and that has allowed me to maybe better chase the ambition I had before. Like sometimes you don't know where to start, or you don't feel like you're good enough, like imposter syndrome and all that, or like why would someone buy from you, or why would someone hire you, which I think
Mhm.
is a
Mhm.
big problem, especially when you're in your 20s.
Mhm.
And like I still struggle with those things, but now I have like different outlets to be like, look what I accomplished in the gym this morning. Like I can do it.
Mhm.
Or I got enough sleep. So, the anxiety isn't as bad. Like when I'm
Right.
tired, it affects me more.
Right.
Or when you're eating well, you just feel better because you're not, I don't know, eating brownies for the entire day. As enjoyable as that is, you won't feel that great at the end of the
Right.
day.
Sure.
Um, so it's probably just like a confidence thing and like a change of mindset. Like
Mhm.
I've always wanted to accomplish a lot, but you just need like the discipline to do it. And getting fitness under control has kind of seeped into other aspects of my life in that way. Like I
Gotcha.
can be more focused at work or at my side job or training my dog. Lots of different scenarios that it kind of like they all mend together.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's very, very cool. Very well said. And I always talk about the transferable skills that fitness teaches you that can be applied. But I think you touched on a slightly different note, which was like the confidence that you get in your fitness journey. When you crush your fitness goals, you're like, wait a second, I stuck to somebody. Sorry, I stuck to something and I achieved this. Why can I not apply the exact same thing in just a completely different area of my life as well, right? Because most of the principles that make you success in fitness are very similar to the principles that would make you success in your career, or in your case, again, your side visit, which we're going to talk about in a second. But it's like I think making that realization, it's like, okay, even if I feel maybe imposter syndrome or whatever in some other aspects or some other areas of life, because I was able to crush it in fitness and stuff, I know that I'm the type of person that could also just transfer what I just did there into anywhere else, right? So I think that's really interesting, and I think imposter syndrome is completely normal in obviously career and business for sure when you're first starting, but it's also in fitness as well. Like
Yeah.
when let's say you go to the gym for the first time, or your first time opening up your nutrition tracking app, it's like you have to kind of be like, okay, identity shift, like I am now a person that crushes my fitness goals.
That's so funny because if someone asked me like, "Are you a big fitness person?" my answer would probably be no, which like is obviously really wrong. I work out like 6 times a week, so I clearly am a fitness person and like I work out a lot and like I care about it. But if someone was to ask me that, I'd be like, "No, I'm not. No, I just no." And
Just
I
do
can't
it.
explain to you why that is. I probably wouldn't classify myself as one, but
That's
By
fair.
all definitions, I hit all the boxes.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
You do check the boxes. But here's the way I like to think about it. It's like just because you're on really on top of your fitness and nutrition doesn't mean you put your identity as a fitness
Yeah.
person, right? And I talk about identity a lot, but it's like I think having your identity split between multiple things is really important. So if one of them is not going the way you want to, it's not like you're all of a sudden feel like crap about yourself, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think by your actions, you would be a fitness enthusiast, but maybe even if you're not always constantly thinking of just that,
Yeah.
right? But I think what I feel is like the nutrition habits, the sleep habits, and like the training habits are all like the framework that you build the rest of your life around, right? And so even no matter what's going on in your life, always on the back burner, you're still kind of kicking butt with your fitness stuff, right?
Yeah.
Super cool. Okay, let's chat a little bit about so you recently started a business, which is super cool. You know, I love business and things like that, and goal setting and all that good stuff. So it's kind of like you took that confidence, you're like, damn it, let's go all in on this too, with that kind of newfound confidence. So maybe give us a little bit of a breakdown about what that is and what inspired you to get going with that.
Okay, books and good pairing started because I've always liked to read, and I've always wanted to be maybe in publishing or write a book or do something along those lines because it's
Mhm.
probably my first love and will always be. But I never really knew where. Like I studied economics in university, so it wasn't really like that wasn't the path I followed.
Right.
Which like I regretted when I was in university because everyone said go to business school, like it'll do like help you the most. But I didn't really like economics, I've come to realize. But
Okay.
getting a business degree has helped me
Okay.
in books and good pairings because it taught me like the accounting and finance skills,
Mm,
which are important because I need them more than perhaps I need like to be able to creatively write for my business. And I get to read
right.
books and I get to talk to people about them. And you asked me how it started.
Yeah, like what was your motivation to start? What you're kind of alluding to by saying just got passionate about that, right? Or always have been.
Yeah. Um, to be honest, the real reason I started it was because, and this is going to sound really weird, I love like my full-time job. I work for another company and I love it.
Mhm.
It's a great job, but I realized that there's only so far I can get within this company. And there's only like so far I can go before I'm not gonna love it anymore. So I thought
Okay.
if I start my own business, then like there's no limit on how far I could take it.
Mhm.
And I'll get to do something I love. Um, so really it started from a place of I'm really happy in this job, but how could I create my own job where I'm just as happy, but there's no limits as to where I could take it.
Gotcha.
And yeah, books seem like the obvious choice because they're my favorite thing.
Okay. And if you could summarize then the exact description of your business, what would that be?
We are a quarterly book subscription box that facilitates a community with a discussion board and a regular book club meeting.
Nice. Awesome. I think it's a super cool idea. Yeah, so like self-care mixed with community. I think that's really cool. Really cool. Awesome. And okay, so we've touched on a lot of things. We talked about like kind of transitioning in terms of mindset and different goals and breeding confidence. For somebody that's maybe a little bit newer to either fitness or just like goal setting and meeting their goals, and maybe feels like, you know what, I haven't been as ambitious and executing at the level I want to, like what advice would you give them to kind of help shift their mindset to start taking a little bit more action?
Um, I would honestly start from a place of reflection. Like it's very easy to say what you didn't do, but
Hmm.
to be fair to everyone, you accomplish a lot in life that you don't give yourself any credit for. Whether it's graduating high school, going to university, getting a job you wanted, like there's a lot of things we don't celebrate in life that you should start with because like I struggle with this too because I always think I haven't accomplished enough for 25. But if you look back, like there is a lot you've done. So maybe start from recognizing that you have accomplished goals, whether or not you celebrate them or realize them.
Hmm.
They'll make it easier to shift that mindset if you think, I've already done this, like look at what I've accomplished at 20, 25, 30, 50. Because like there are things you've done. And then when you set goals going forward, you can reflect back on the fact that you have accomplished them in your life. So you can continue accomplishing them. Maybe now they're just written down and they're more concrete, is what I would suggest.
Very cool. I like that. And I think it's funny because the people that are most into like chasing goals are also the people that are usually the hardest on themselves too. So
Yeah.
sometimes you need an extra eye or somebody like in your corner just to say, hey, you know, you're doing a good job, right? Or give yourself a pat on the back. And also once your goals get bigger and bigger, you start to put more and more pressure to even get more and more. So it's like you 2 years ago would be like, damn, Brayden, like look at all this stuff that you're doing, or look at all this stuff you've done. But then you now is like looking at the future, Brayden, being like, let's get there right now, right? But it's like knowing how to be really content with what you're doing right now and what you've already achieved, but also knowing that you still have more in the tank. You have a lot more in the tank, but still being at peace with the fact of how many things you've already done, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the way to frame it. No, it's super cool, super cool. And then I guess from kind of bringing things back to more of a fitness journey perspective, what do you think, other than confidence and all those things, what do you think was the biggest transformation that you experienced over the past 5 months? Do you think that was like maybe the mental benefits, or was it the like the physical change, or like what, if you could kind of categorize that, like what was the biggest transformation? And then maybe we've kind of already answered this question, but we'll give more of a summary.
I think when I like look at myself and compare to 5 months ago physically, like there was like a massive change there. But I try to not put a lot of stock in like how much better I look or whatever right now, because like things can happen, things change, and I try not put how I feel about myself and how I look at any given moment. Um, but I think that position has also evolved from just like better like mental health or just being happier and more confident. So I think like physical transformation and mental transformation kind of have gone hand in hand. Like I've gone a
Okay.
healthier relationship with myself. Is that because I look
Awesome.
better, or is it because I'm more confident? Like it's hard to say. They're kind of really
Right.
closely linked together. So they're like, there's been changes to both. They might influence each other the same amount, or one might be more. It's hard to say.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Very
I don't
cool.
really know how to answer that. That's a tough question.
It is. It is. It is. See, I'm trying to get you on the spot here with all these questions. I'm just joking, but no, I think that's really good. And as you were talking about that, I was actually thinking, it's like we barely put any emphasis on how you looked, because like yes, we took progress pics and reviewed those, and I was always kind of checking and comparing, but at the end of the day, I knew that if you were to, and reminding you, we probably need updated progress pics, by the way.
I already
For,
uploaded them.
oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Hey, you're ahead of the game. I would say we barely put a lot of emphasis on that in terms of like discussion points, because I knew that if you just were executing the right and checking the right boxes, that all that stuff was just going to happen, right? Because our plan was in place and we knew what we were doing. It's like, okay, let's just focus on checking the boxes, and that stuff's just going to happen in the background, right? So
Yeah.
it's curious, because it's curious to me, because most people just focus so much on like, did I make progress yet? Did I make progress yet? But it's like you should be focusing on, am I doing what I need to do to make progress? Right.
Yeah.
So super cool. Awesome, Brayden. Awesome. A lot of really interesting insights. I think a lot of people are going to take some value away from this. Any parting thoughts or words, either about the coaching process or about life in general, or fitness, or any other philosophical deep points you want to communicate to anybody that's listening?
Wow. The only thing I'll say is something that has stuck with me that I was once told, and it's like work for yourself before you work for someone else. So I found it really helpful to start my day with doing something that's for me, and not like just immediately starting working at like your corporate job or whatever. Because at the end of the day, you should start with you, and everyone else can be second. Because if you're happy, then people around you will be happy.
Awesome. I love it. So put yourself first time thing. And it also goes with the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you got to keep your cup full so you can give. Right.
Exactly.
Gift yourself first. Love it. Awesome. Thank you again, Brayden. And yeah, we're going to post this up and I'm sure a lot of people will love it.
I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, me too.